Hello, and you're very welcome again to another conversation or reflection with ChangeMakers about sustainable living. We're focusing on the past, we're focusing on talking to people about the way life was lived and how that might help shape our planet and the future for the better. And today we're talking to Oumo Emwalyu from Uganda, who has spent his life working in healthcare across Uganda, but they also talk about clans, about land, about markets. So I hope you'll enjoy this conversation.
Esther just says that your name is Daddy.
Yeah, yeah. My name is Daddy, but I also have my name.
What is your name?
My name is Oumo. Oumo.
Oumo.
Yes. Oumo.
Oumo.
Oumo. You know there is that powdered soap. They call it Oumo. But for me, you add U somewhere, so you call it Oumo.
Oumo. When I joined Self-Help Africa, that I was able to travel and had to a number of times to Uganda and Kenya and Ethiopia. So I've been 3 or 4 times to Uganda. So I know Entebbe and Kampala and TASO and Sorota, and I've been over to the east as well, over to Lake Albert and all. So it's a beautiful country. Maybe first, Oumo, maybe you just tell me about where you're from and your family or your background as a child or as a young person.
Okay, I am from TASO. I'm sure you've been here.
Yes, yes.
I was born about 71 years ago in a village called Awidiang.
Okay.
Awidiang is about 25 kilometers from Soroti town. That was at that time, I'm sure, I'm not told whether I was born in a health unit or home, but the commonest places of birth those days were by the traditional birth attendants. And I'm sure I also fall into that category because the health units were not very common those days. They were very far. So I grew up in that village up to the time I started my education. That was when I was 7 years. I attended the primary school at Sapir. I completed primary school. By then it was 6 years in primary school. And then you go to secondary school. No, I mean junior school for another 2 years. And then you go to secondary school. Secondary school, I joined the TASO College, Aloyat. That is for my senior 4 and then senior 6. After that, I then went to our prestigious university, that's Makerere University, where I had a 5-year course in medicine, and I successfully completed it. Thereafter, I started working with the government. I worked in Moroto, Karamoja area.
I do, right up in the north on the border, up in borders with Sudan, yes.
Correct. By then it was fairly difficult area, but I managed. I worked there for about 4 years. Then I went back to Makerere for my postgraduate in public health. After completing, I was posted to a number of places, including Soroti, Mbale, Jinja. Then I didn't, after some time, I joined the NGOs. And one of the NGOs I worked for is Family Planning Association of Uganda. Now its new name is Reproductive Health Uganda. Then after that, I joined TASO, the AIDS Support Organization.
Oh, I remember on one of my visits to Kampala, I visited one of the TASO units there. Very impressed. It's a great organization. I remember the work. I have photographs of the work they were doing, and their outreach programs, and their drama groups and music groups going out to villages. They're a great organization.
Correct. It was really great, and I really enjoyed my work there. And they also built on my skills. So at 60 years, I retired. In Uganda, when you reach 60 years, you retire.
What was it like to work up in the north and health? Were you working in camps there or just with communities?
I was working in the hospital, Moroto Hospital. That was the district hospital. And it was the only hospital, government hospital in the Karamoja area. The others were Matany, which was mission hospital. But I was in the government hospital. It was quite an experience to me because I had just completed, when you complete school and then start work. It was a fairly difficult place because first of all, Karamoja area was not secure.
No.
There were these cattle rustlers, and that. Then there was quite a lot of injured persons, So, and then the staff were inadequate. In fact, there is a time when I was alone in the hospital doing all this theater, administration, everything. So the staff were inadequate by then, but we managed. There was quite a lot of cooperation among us, and we managed to perform fairly well. The equipment, again, let me say generally, it was inadequate, but we build up slowly and slowly.
Mm-hmm. But then a few years after that, it became very insecure right down towards Soroti. There had been shootings and things like that as well. Were you there at that time?
Yes, at that time I was working in Soroti, and then I was transferred to Mbale. It was actually quite difficult, but even the roads, I don't know whether you pass through the roads, to travel between Soroti and Mbale, which is about 100 kilometers, would take you so many hours. But all the same, it was another difficult time. But all the same, we persevered and we tried our best. In Karamoja, it was food was inadequate. No dry season, there was a little production. But in TASO, we had actually quite a lot of food. And I would say it was a balanced diet. We would have carbohydrates, we would have proteins, we would have fruits, give us vitamins, that kind of thing. And generally, there wasn't any malnutrition in TASO. We had plenty of milk, there were cows there. So we didn't have those other illnesses. Sometimes when you eat, we don't eat well, your immunity goes down, and then you fall sick frequently. So as far as because we, as I earlier said, there were traditional birth attendants. So there were also herbalists. So most of the common diseases were treated at home there. I recall my own case. I had measles when I was still young. So I was treated at home. What they did is they just smeared me with some soil. And then what impressed me was there was a sort of a quarantine. They put some branches along the road coming home, just to inform people that here there is a case of measles. So we were practicing some medicine, actually. We were treated. In fact, the illnesses were very not common. I can't remember a time when I was hospitalized. No, I was not up to now. Neither is my mother. She doesn't fall sick so often. Actually, she doesn't fall sick. She's only old. That is the main problem. So by then, but I think The other thing was the nutrition. You know, when you have good nutrition, inadequate diets, you build up your immunity and most of this. And then there was also an element, you know, the population was not so much. So there was no pressure on water sources, on sanitation, that kind of thing. So that is why I believe in the past, we were really healthy persons. When we were still young, it was up to the age of maybe 3 years, we are looked after. We were not doing much work. But from that time, we started now doing domestic work. You know, that was the beginning. You would be sent to collect firewood just nearby, water, and that's it. But much of the work, we were doing it with the elders. You know, you can't go to the well alone. You have to be accompanied by the elder. It was a time, even the gardens. At the garden, they would give you light work. You don't work like the others. And of course, the time also matters. You could work for a short time and then you are released. So much of the time, the rest of the time, for us, we are just playing. We were playing, you know, we would make balls out of the fibers, balls and other things for playing. So, and you know, we were treated like, in addition to your own home, your own parents, but the relatives, the community was also concerned. You would be supported, you'd be guided, that kind of thing.
So it's a very secure and community
Correct.
upbringing. You were very safe.
Correct.
Very. Do you have a sort of a tribal background or belonging as well locally, or would you consider yourself as a geographical? Is it just where you live, or is it part of a like?
No, in TASO here, all of us belong to a clan. See, a clan is those group of people with a common ancestor. So we belong to that clan. The clan, some clan members don't necessarily stay in one place. Some are in other places. For example, our clan, there are some in Serere, there are some in Ngora, there are some we are in Soroti, there are some in Kaberimaido, you know. So during that time, in the past, I think there was migration. So our forefathers migrated there, but we belong to one clan and we have the clan leader. They are central clan leader for all of us. Then in those areas, they are also the charges. We call them zonal clan leaders and their committees. So we belong to a clan.
That's something we don't have in Ireland at all. That sense, we do have a sense of belonging, but it's more to our region. So my sort of region is Donegal, so that would be very important to me. But it's not a clan. There's no family connection or anything else, and there's no direction coming from a clan or anything at all like that. So I think that did exist in Ireland a long time ago, many hundreds of years, but I think it's gone now.
Okay. But for us, I think we cherish that. That's why we have a clan leader. I'm sure you have heard of a Morimor. Morimor is the overall clan leaders in the TASO. So in addition to that, of course, we also have, in an area, you also have a belonging there. But in our area, for example, we have about 3-4 clans. But when it is some other activities, we join hands as what? As people of that area. But the most important thing, you must belong to a clan, you see. The purpose is to, their children. We should bring those children so that we know them, especially for us elders. My children, They are working, sometimes they are working, some in Kampala. So their children, they stay there. So those are the occasions when we do what? We come together. We also come together in certain celebrations, like marriage. If my son or daughter is getting married, I have to call the clan members to come and join me. When it is the burial, for example, we've lost some relative, all the clan members come together. So those are occasions when the clan members come together. There has been quite a lot of changes. First of all, we would start with the land ownership. In the past, families, because it was, again, do we have clan land? You don't have your own land. The land belongs to the clan. It's the clan now to allocate you some piece of land. So in those days, there were quite a few people. So one would actually have quite a large piece of land, which is not the case now. Secondly, you know, some of the activities we use for land is grazing. And you know, grazing means quite a lot of land. But right now, land, because there are quite a number of members who want land, there's been some fragmentation. Because here, when, for example, my son grows up and marries, I should show him his piece of land. So from where the clan also allocated to me. So if you have got 5 sons and you have 5 acres of land, what does it mean? It means each one will have 1 acre. So there is just some fragmentation of land. Then there is also environment. There is a pressure because of the population on wood fuel. So people are cutting trees, they are cutting those other things, and you find the ground is bare. The wood is also used in charcoal. You know, we make charcoal and use charcoal also. We use the same for burning bricks, you know, these baked bricks. So there is actually an environmental degradation, and it's accompanied by soil erosion. So the land being small now is also not productive because the fertility has gone down. So you find that the family now doesn't produce sometimes adequate food crops. We used to have cash crop, and that one was cotton. In my time when I was at school, it was almost the only source of income for paying school fees. But the cotton industry is no longer there. So we don't have those. So we are actually depending on the actual food crops, which if you need some money, you sell some of it. So that is now the problem. Food production has gone down. The needs have also gone up. So that is our problem. The fertility has gone down. The rains, the seasons are unpredictable. In the past, we used to have 2 common seasons, the wet season and the dry season. It is actually a dry season right now here, but about 2 days ago, it rained. So it is no longer predictable. As we expected the rains in March, April, there could be no rain. So that is also one of the challenges we are faced with as the farmers. And also it affects the animals, the cows, the sheep. There is no grass, there is no grass. So you find they become very thin. Sometimes some of them die even, or they fall sick frequently. So those are the challenges we are faced with right now. We used to have cooperatives. Cooperatives is where you would now take your produce and sell it there. But with the time, the cooperatives collapsed. So now it is almost individual. You have to look for market. And sometimes the markets are not there. Sometimes the market, especially during the harvest season, the markets are flooded. So you find the price go down. So those really a challenge we have. Otherwise, the food crops we grow, they have good market. We sell also to our neighbors, Kenya, Rwanda, Sudan, South Sudan, and Kenya. But the system of actually selling it is what really, because somebody even can go to the villages with a lorry and just buy at his own price. And you know, since you are desperate, you need the money, you sell it. So that is the challenge we have with the marketing of our produce.
And was there any particular reason that the cooperatives collapsed, Oumo? Because it seemed they were a great help, and they are in Ireland still, to a great help to farmers to guarantee prices and to make sure, you know, farmers could get together and there would be local markets and guaranteed prices. What happened to the cooperatives?
The cooperatives initially were for cotton. They were for cotton. So when cotton production collapsed, also the cooperatives also collapsed. In the past, we used not to sell the produce, the food product, millet, cassava, maize. We used not to sell. But now, since the cotton has collapsed, we don't have any other source of income. We now have to. Then at the national level, we used to have produce marketing board. That is the board which was organizing now the sales, especially export of the produce. But that one also collapsed. So from the above, it collapsed. From here, it collapsed. So, but this is an area which I think we are trying to, most people are trying to see how best we can revive those cooperatives.
But do people still, is there still a local market where, for example, if you want to buy cassava or millet or whatever, or fish or something, is there a local market that you can go to do that?
Yes, we have local markets. Most of the areas have local market. For example, for us in my village, we have a market at Katine. In fact, the market was yesterday, I was there. So that is where people bring their produce. That is where the shopkeepers, the people in the town here take their clothing, utensils, so that is that market. The market is there every week on Tuesdays. So most of the areas have those markets. They have a day, and that day is every day. On that day, that market is there. It is only in urban centers, the trading centers, the towns, the cities, where you have markets, daily markets. But for us in the rural areas, it is weekly. So most of the people, you buy all your needs for that week. You bring your millet, whatever you want to sell, you sell it from at that market and then buy whatever you need.
Was local clothing made locally?
Yeah. Yes, it was made local out of our cotton. There was no nylon I used, no, it was not there.
I don't think, you know, the more I listen to yourself and Guru, it's there's not a lot of difference between Ireland and Uganda when it comes to rural life and things like that. Things, well, you may think that Ireland is very distant from Uganda and we look different and our climate's different and all this, but actually when you get down to talking about community and family and environment and farming and education, we're very similar. We share a lot in common. It's not that different at all, you know. Lovely to meet Oumo, your father.
My pleasure.
Yeah, he's an interesting life. He has travelled and moved around and contributed a lot through, anyone working, particularly I think we appreciate it these days, anyone working in healthcare are so important to us. Anyway, listen, I'm going to go on. Esther, it's been really, thank you so much. It's been really, you've picked two great men to talk to, and I really appreciate it. And I would love again at another stage maybe to go back and talk to them as part of this project or another. It's lovely.
It's my pleasure, Pat.
Yeah.